My name is Deborah Lorang, and I live in Cascade Locks here in the Gorge. And my art form, I would say, is multimedia. I've done a little bit of everything.
And you've been an artist who we've been lucky enough to have in our gallery on many occasions. So this is a more unusual opportunity for you. This particular show, which is called Ancestors Known and Unknown. And I'm just interested to hear from you as to, on a couple levels, how you feel that you've been included in this show as a friend of Lillian's and the work that you've done with her. And also how the name of the show and the theme of the show has inspired you to do the work that will be in the exhibit.
I've known Lillian for about 25 years. I've known her through the foundry business. I used to cast her work in bronze. She's been such a good friend, and she has inspired me a lot in my work. I love the fact that she does assemblage, found object work, and I've always been inspired by that body of work that she does. So the pieces I've been doing for the last few months, they were kind of inspired off of her idea of doing that assemblage work. These pieces particularly, so I used to be a sculptor. I started sculpting back when I was in my early 20s, and I did a lot of bronze sculpture then. And then I kind of got away from that about 20 years ago. And I started doing more of the assemblage and recycled work. So these pieces, I've kind of gone back to my roots of sculpting, and so I'm sculpting the faces, and then all the body parts are all more natural found items that I find mostly on beaches. So, and my inspiration for the show, her theme is the ancestors. My theme is, it's called Nature Souls, and this is where my theme represents the people who love nature so much and are so steeped in nature that it becomes a part of who they are. And I feel that about myself. The last 15, 16 years of living in the Gorge, I just feel like we're just wrapped in nature on a continual basis. And it's a part of my soul. So these pieces are inspired by that.
I read something that you wrote about the beauty in things that are broken, and that the discarded items are relics with a history. And I think that ties really well into what you're doing right now. Yeah. Could you talk about one of your pieces?
A lot of these pieces, like I said, like this, so this is driftwood I would have found on the beach. Here's a bone that I found. I work a lot with lichen. I love working with lichen. This right here is a chestnut. It's a shell from a chestnut. I found that on a beach. And then this is a different kind of lichen. This is an animal tooth. I like to work with bones, fragments with a history. This is a beautiful burl piece right here. That was something else I found on a beach. And to wonder what kind of a tree this came from and how old it was, and that's just inspirational to me. So this piece, I'll find a piece of wood, and so to me that looked like a wing. She's called a trail angel. The pieces, when I pick them up and look at them, I used to laugh about other artists saying this, but literally I look at a piece of wood and it kind of tells me what it wants or who it wants to be. This piece here, it just screamed monk from the moment I saw it, so he's called the bird monk. And then this piece, this is one of my favorite pieces. She's called Wise Like an Ancient Tree, and she was just a lot of fun to do.
So what is your process do you hike to go hiking and find things, or do you go hiking to find things?
A lot of my inspiration started when, about 15 years ago, I started doing solve cleanups. So I did solve cleanups in the Cascade Locks area, on the beaches, on the frontage road, and I just got to where I could not walk anywhere without picking up trash. But then I was finding other things too, so cool pieces of wire and metal and said fragments of pottery or something, and so I would pick up things and started using those in my work a few years ago. Wherever I go, I take a backpack, walking on a beach, walking on a trail. I'm always carrying something to put stuff in. And then the other thing is, like, I don't go so much and pick things off of trees, but a lot of times tree limbs that fall down have beautiful lichen on it, or the mushrooms, or different kinds of flora and fauna that I pick up. I love to pick up bones, and quite a bit of my work actually has bird skulls in it that I find. I just have an eye for things, to always find strange things laying around. So
what does your studio look like?
So my studio is, oh wow, I've got 100 jars full of stuff. I have, like I said, the glass, and I have bins of the lichen and moss, and one of the things I like to do a lot is I make pretty intricate fairy houses, and so I started picking up a lot of the stuff I use, the lichen and moss and things I started using for that. So that's kind of doing these. It just went from the fairy houses into doing my people. I also have lots of old buttons, and I pick up a lot of fragments and broken things at secondhand stores, and so I have like old bins and bins of old rusted,
So
broken things.
when you find the spools, or as you say, this one piece of wood that sort of made you see a wane, does that inform your piece automatically, and then you take that piece in and you create whatever comes from it? Or do you sometimes go in and just have everything there and just sort of wait for something to pop out at you to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna make this robot, or this monk, or this earth soul? Or
That is interesting you say that, because with the driftwood, those kind of just yell out what they want to be. Whereas, and also I do a lot of I do metal robots too, with old tins and just car parts, I don't know. But most of the time though, I go into my studio and I just start picking up things, and until something clicks, and like an old cigar tin or something, and just look at it for a few minutes, and then just things start clicking, and then I just start going around my space and start grabbing things and putting them together. A lot of times I'll put something together, pull it apart, and put it back together again too.
And do you tend to finish a piece in one sitting, or does it sometimes take different sittings to get one piece done? Or
Well, I have a tendency to I'll stay up all night pretty much to get something done. Once I've got the idea and everything's in place and I know what I want, then I'll work until I get it done.
It's really like an assembly. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And that's the beauty of it too, is that once things start to come together, and I know what's in my shop so well, it's like, oh, this would look really cool there, and I'll go find that bin or that jar or something and pull something out and start sticking it together.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you're one of those fortunate souls who the creative process is very much a part of the way you live and your lifestyle and how you make a living, and it's very fortunate.
Well, I'm just so happy that these days that I have that opportunity. I've been able to do this full time for the last couple of years. Before that, I had a gallery for 13 years, and then I was in the foundry industry for years before that. So having 2 years to just be able to sit and create and pretty much do whatever I want is so fun. And like I said, to get back to sculpting, so being able to sculpt these faces, which I had sculpted and almost 20 years. So
And they're clay, is that correct?
they are like a Fimo,
Mhm.
Fimo clay
Excellent.
and polyurethane. And then so you just sculpt them and then bake them.
Well, they're really wonderful. I'm really excited to have them all together in the
Oh,
galley. It's
thank
going to be
you.
fun. And thank you so much for being part of the show and
Oh,
part of the
thank you.
art community in the Glen. We're lucky to have you and your husband.
Oh, thank
So-
you. I love the art center and I love being able to have an opportunity to do the shows here.